Hey there, Terry here. Just a quick announcement that if you like giving voice to depression, you might also like my new podcast, Recoverable. On it, I will be asking experts the top 10 most searched questions about different addictions and mental health conditions and therapies. Look for Recoverable wherever you get your podcasts. Hello and welcome to the Giving Voice to Depression podcast, brought to you by Recovery.com. The best place to find mental health and addiction treatment for anyone, anywhere.
Each week, we profile a guest who shares openly about their mental health journey. They share because they understand that when people don't talk about their depression or other mental health conditions, those of us who do struggle with them can feel like we're the only ones, that there's something wrong with us, and that no one understands. We understand.
I'm Terry McGuire, the creator and co-host of this podcast. You have my promise that we'll keep it real here. Depression is real, and we're not going to sugarcoat our discussions about it.
Hope is also real, and you'll get a dose of that here too. I'm Carly McCullough, a licensed social worker and educator, and Terry's daughter. We've both experienced depression and also support loved ones struggling with it. We're here to normalize talking about depression and mental health in our communities, as well as our families.
And to share real-world tested strategies that have worked for other people who have walked similar paths. Thanks for joining us. Hello, Carly.
Hi, Mom. If you've looked at your phone, turned on the news, or heaven forbid, scrolled through social media lately, the vibe is
Heavy.
really heavy. I've actually started to hear the term polycrisis to describe it, as in not just one crisis taking place at the same time.
And the constant barrage of headlines and images that make it really hard for many to just, function when depression alone can make that really difficult.
Writer Nate Postlewaite recently posted this to his hundreds of thousands of Instagram followers, sending compassion to every complex trauma survivor who remains in a freeze state due to the news, the world, the inundation with constant triggering information that your mind and body is trying to navigate. Do what you have to do to respect that response.
Former Giving Voice co-host psychologist Dr. Anita Sands, who is managing her own reactions as well as those of her clients, says things are not business as usual. In fact, she says every person she knows who is even minimally aware of world events is having to do extra mental, emotional, and moral or spiritual work just to try to manage.
Today, we continue our discussion with Dr. Jeffrey Rubin about how to protect and maintain our mental health through anger, fear, and other unpleasant emotions. He'll lead us through a few somatic resets, ways to physically unclench from the stress of the world. Here again is Dr. Rubin, giving his voice to depression.
In the world we currently live in, with things happening that create fear, panic, so many big words and big feelings in us, how do we stay informed and not overwhelm ourselves, dysregulate ourselves, and just lose hope, which is a hard thing for people with depression to have to start?
Absolutely. First of all, just understand it's not easy. And it's not you. It's just not easy. It's tough times with tough things going on. That's very real. I think we have to seek out places of hope where we can. We try to nourish hope, but we also titrate our involvement. I'm very careful of my involvement in the news. So I have to be exposed, but I have to protect. I don't think people protect themselves enough. So that's one thing. Another thing is, we think whatever we hate in the present, whatever we dislike in the present, will continue eternally. We don't see that things change. If we could be open to that, it adds a little bit less tightness and rigidity in the face of the negative stuff. And it's not linked to whoever's in office or whatever party is winning. It has nothing to do with that. We can go home and take care of ourselves in either case. We can not take care of ourselves or take care of ourselves. We have to be responsible and realize that we have to take into our own hands some of what needs to happen.
Give us, if you can, some examples of self-care practices that you know to be effective and what building them in versus fitting them in would look like.
Can we do some practices right now together?
I would love that.
Okay. So everybody get in a physically comfortable position. Might be easiest to close your eyes.
If you're not driving.
If you're driving, pull over. Bring your attention to your breathing. Since we're going to be breathing through the nose, it's probably easiest if you close your mouth. And notice when you pull air to the back of the throat through the nose, your abdomen may expand. And when you're ready to exhale, notice that you want to press your abdomen towards your spine. So inhale, mouth closed, breathing through the nose, abdomen expands. Exhale, gently press the abdomen towards the spine. Let's do some breaths like that together right now.
We are breathing through our noses, though I understand it's nearly inaudible.
Gently and slowly open your eyes and return your attention to the room. Feel differently at all?
I do, and I do every single time, and I forget every single time.
So that leads us to build in versus fit it in.
That does.
We all do that until we don't. So build it in. Anything in your life that, if you make a line down, people in the audience can do this, make a line down the middle of the page. Get a piece of paper, make a line down the middle. Write on the left side what works for you, what's working in your life. We can do that right now. Write down what's working for you. Take out a piece of paper, make a line down the middle.
Interactive, I love it. Okay.
On the left-hand side, write what's working, what you like.
Again, still here, just writing.
Okay, on the right-hand side, what's not working. Have a sense of humor, no judgment. Just write it. Probably what's working is built into your life, meaning it's unthinking. You just do it. Every day you do a little bit of decluttering, whatever it is that's working. What's on the right side that's not working, inevitably there's a wish, but there's not a built-in plan. You want to build in the plan so it's unquestioned, so it's not open to the vagaries of life intruding. I like that meditation that Jeffrey did. At some point, we'll do it later. You might, but you might not. But if you say, I'm going to take 5 minutes after the interview and do it, or after the radio program and do it, then it's built in. Or 5 minutes before dinner, or 5 minutes after the dishes are done, before I help my kids with their homework. Whatever it is, if it has a place and a time, it's much easier to do it. Figure out what helps you thrive, and then build it into your life instead of fitting it into your life. That's the sort of grand way you could look at it. Over time, not immediately, but over time.
2 other practices Dr. Rubin recommends are creating boundaries or more boundaries to protect ourselves, knowing where we draw our lines and not compromising on them. And also, to the extent possible, accepting other people where they are. And sometimes that's just accepting the truth that nothing we say or do is going to move them from where they are.
And then there's more of a sense of peacefulness. And then when depression or anxiety or fear arises, it's a little easier to deal with it because your mind's not all filled with all these reactions and judgments and ideas and what other people should be doing. And just try to cultivate your own garden, not worry so much about what other people do. It brings a peacefulness a little bit and more harmonious relationships with people. And use your own reaction. You start to get terse with people or you start to get impatient. Know that that's a signal that you're already filled up to the brim or you're emotionally already overloaded, and then back off. Do something that's going to bring you down a little bit. We need to take more breaks during the day, even if it's 10 seconds at a desk.
Okay.
Let's do another one, not just talk about it. Let's do it. All right. So what I want everyone to do is we're going to close our mouths and breathe through our nose. And as we inhale through the nose, I want you to tighten from your toes to your head, tighten every part of your body. Now open your mouth and breathe out. It can be forcefully. Exhale. Now inhale, mouth closed, tighten everything from your toes to your head. Open your mouth and exhale. Inhale, tighten everything, mouth closed. Exhale, open your mouth, release. Inhale, tighten everything. Exhale, release. Now do it 3 times on your own. Now gently come back to the room. Do you feel any differently?
The tightening makes me realize how tight I was. You know, it's like my shoulders are up, my jaw's clenched. My hands weren't clenched until I was doing the exercise, but the rest of me was pretty uptight.
Do you feel any kind of release now?
I feel a little more chill, yeah.
Yeah. So we can do this periodically. What is it? A minute? A half a minute? You just do it a little bit to break things up.
Mm-hmm.
You've had a meeting. You've had a difficult meeting, difficult phone call, difficult interaction with someone at work. Just take a brief break. Walk to the bathroom and then do this, or sit at your desk and do this. So bring in mini resets during the day. I think if we do that, that's a help. And then there's less chance that everything builds up, goes into our body, becomes a headache, becomes lower back pain. We kind of break some of it up. We need to do that wherever we can.
Okay, so how, when we are regularly seeing, hearing, and reading horrific accounts, do we have human reactions and feel deep empathy, but not get overwhelmed or pulled underwater by those feelings?
I think the problem isn't too much empathy. The problem is the moment after the empathy, we feel we have to take care of or get rid of what the other person is going through. It's very subtle, but if you start to work with some of these awareness practices and tune in and slow things down a little bit, compassion, feeling with, it's not that you feel what the other person feels, it's that there's a deep pressure to get rid of it. You may or may not be able to. Let's say your friend is grieving. How are you going to get rid of it? All you can do is provide a home for the feelings and have their back. You can't get rid of it. They have to go through it. When we can see that shift, that automatically creates a boundary. And now I'm not trying to save everyone, although I am trying to be kindly towards everyone. It's different. But then you can let people have what they have without the pressure and the feeling down that you're not getting rid of what they feel, which often you can't do.
How does that work for ourselves? If I notice something inside of me and I want to pay attention to it versus fix it because perhaps I can't.
Well, I had this. My folks died within 11 days in 2016, and my younger brother got glioblastoma. That's the nasty brain cancer that felled John McCain and Ted Kennedy. He's one of the 9 people I lost in the last 3 years, my younger brother.
Sorry.
Thanks. And so what I did is I followed my own advice. I let myself feel whatever I felt. I made a boundary around myself, so I would sometimes isolate a little bit because I didn't want to vomit on other people because I knew I was testy at times and I was irritable. It was the way that it came out. Then at some point, months later, I had the weird sensation, Terry, and it was this sentence, "I've come back to the land of the living." Which raises the question, where exactly was I before? Wasn't in the land of the living. I was in some other place, a place we all know sometimes when we're depressed and when too much is going on. But I gave myself full permission to feel whatever I was, anger at the world, disbelief in God, whatever one's going through, to give yourself space to feel that. Doesn't mean you'll land there, but you may need to go through there.
And how would that help?
To do that?
Yeah.
Well, number one, you're not fighting yourself all the time. Most of us are fighting ourselves all the time. Again, we have depression or anxiety or fear, and then we have a massive judgment leading to, I'm inadequate, that I feel that. No, you're not inadequate. You just feel that. And it means something. And now let's focus on what it means instead of evidenced in the courtroom of our mind to beat ourselves up.
I appreciate that. How can somebody who struggles with their mental health flourish?
I want to talk about happiness. The country, especially some years ago, was obsessed with happiness. There was a happiness movement. No one thought enough about the irony that we're obsessed with happiness precisely at a time when everybody seems depressed. Just like we're obsessed with mindfulness at the very moment when everyone's multitasking and not mindful at all. But I think we push for these things to try to balance the state we're in. So we're unhappy, so we emphasize happiness. I do not think about happiness 1 minute a year. I like to be happy as much as the next person, but I prefer to think of flourishing. And so flourishing, I got this from Aristotle. It means to live and fare well, F-A-R-E. So if we focus more on doing the right thing, which has, you can hear in this, an ethical component, it's doing right by other people. Live in a wiser way, a connected way, a supportive way for other people, and then a byproduct of that, we will feel better.
Mm-hmm. When we find ourselves ruminating and just thinking over and over and over about it, how do we shift from that to a place where we are more constructively processing what it is we're feeling and thinking?
Sometimes you need to just be, and you need to act. And at other times you need to look into stuff and reflect on it and work with it. And you can't just do it if there's stuff that emotionally that you're not dealing with. So I think we need to do both. So what I've thought about in recent years, Terry, is how do you know? For me, that's the key thing. And when it's stale and it's very circular, and I keep saying the same tired things to myself, that's a signal that processing it is not really processing it. It's beating myself up time. And then when it's that, I try to what I call change channels. Watch a comic, take a walk, get on a stationary bike, do some stretching, do some knitting, cook, call an elderly aunt, whatever it is, but change channels. How do I light a candle instead of curse the darkness?
Mom, I'm so grateful for this interview. I really needed to hear a lot of the lessons that Dr. Rubin was offering here, because it is so hard to change the channel. Yes. I'm so grateful for that metaphor. I listen to music a lot while I work, and I skip a song in the car if it's the wrong thing to come on. But it's actually, I don't know, there's something about its all-encompassingness that makes it really hard for me to sort of metaphorically change the channel or say skip, or that's not the playlist I'm listening to right now.
Indeed.
What are some ways that you change the channel for yourself?
One very specific thing I've done, and I cannot remember if I started this during COVID or 9/11, is that I listen to my news now instead of watch it. And I can hear what's happening and stay informed, and seeing it is just another level for me. And as a former reporter, that was former broadcast reporter, TV, that's a difficult choice for me to have made, because I used to watch all 3 stations at the same time, and now I'm not watching any news. I don't know how much it's helped, because I'm still burnt out, but it's a little easier for me to internalize and draw boundaries.
One of the other things that really resonated with me with some of the strategies that Dr. Rubin shared was he said that we need to be living in a wiser way, a more connected way, a supportive way for other people. And that a byproduct of that is that we will feel better. There's just so much power in being connected to other people and in helping other people. When we support other people with our gifts, when we let our light shine on other people, their light can shine brighter. And then we start to have this sort of ping-ponging effect where all of a sudden everybody's light in our community is a little brighter. Sometimes it's really hard to be hopeful about the future, especially if you know the past. And one of the things that I have been taught is that rather than focusing on happiness, as Dr. Rubin is saying, they focus on gratitude. So that it's not, I want to feel happy or I want to feel hopeful. But while I'm here, can I be fully grateful for everything there is to be grateful for? And that doesn't necessarily mean the things happening in the news, but can I be grateful for the heat being on? Can I be grateful for this glass of water? Can I be grateful for the sky? Can I be grateful for the cat next to me? Can I focus on the things that I'm grateful for and find a source of positive feelings through gratitude rather than through happiness?
To your earlier point about helping others, it was sort of the inverse of Mr. Rogers always saying, in hard times, look for the helpers. You know, your description is be a helper. And Dr. Rubin did say that, and that putting good into the world puts good into the world, no matter what else is happening. And that's, really can't be disputed. So if we are feeling unable to make big changes or to challenge people at much higher levels than we are, we can do what we can do. And even that, as you described it, is shining some light into the darkness. And the more of us doing that, there is an effect. It's not going to change the awful stuff going on. But as you say, we can take that little piece. We can be grateful for the magnification of the light that we're putting out and getting back.
Another way that he really framed helping was around that sometimes we feel like helping is synonymous with fixing. So in order to help the person I know who's struggling, I need to be able to solve their problem somehow. And what he continued to offer, which I'm really grateful for, because it was hard for me to understand for years. And again, this is as I'm studying to be a social worker. How did he describe it? You can let people have what they have without the pressure and the feeling down that you're not getting rid of what they feel, which you often can't do. And one of the things that we really know is that it's all so much worse when you feel alone. And depression and chronic fatigue and other things can really tell you that you're all alone.
Agreed. This is the part I wasn't sure if I was going to leave in. So if you're hearing it, I decided to. And if I didn't, you're not going to hear it. But when we do these episodes, when we talk about people who are struggling, when we talk about it is just too much for a lot of people, it's not you. We're not talking about you. We're talking about us. And we are very much in it together. And just this week, I was doing okay with life until all of this hit a boiling point for me, because a lot of the things that are going on and coming to light were really hard for me to hear about it and made me think of things that were really hard for me to experience. And I walked into HR and I walked into a meeting with my manager at work and I said, I need a break because this is too much. At first, I felt really like, not weak, but everybody else is managing. But I reframed it for myself and said, I have learned so much from all of our guests and from doing this podcast for 9 years that I know, I always say you have to learn your early warning signs. You have to learn your early warning signs and heed them. That's what I'm doing. Am I okay? I am. Am I going to be okay if I don't take a break? I don't know. So guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to take a break to make sure I stay okay so I can be okay and continue to do this work. So I just wanted to put out there that if you're having a really hard time, we're having that together.
I really appreciate you sharing that. It's hard to do. I told one of my friends and mentors who's in her late 70s, and like Dr. Rubin has studied Eastern philosophy. She's a practicing Buddhist. And one of the things that she offered to me is she said, oh, Carly, we have this thing in Buddhism where you have to close some of your sense doors. All of your senses are just wide open to the world. And so you have to find some ways of closing some of these sense doors. And the example she used.
Sense, we're talking about our five senses.
Yeah, SENSE.
Yeah.
So
Things you're
what
seeing,
we're
things you're hearing.
seeing.
Yes.
Yeah. So you, Mom, have removed some of the seeing of the images, but you are listening to some of them. We all need different things in that. And as you pointed out, Dr. Rubin's talking about creating boundaries or more boundaries to protect ourselves. Because again, I think I thought that I needed to leave all my sense doors open in order to be a good person, in the same way that I needed to suffer when other people were suffering in order to show that I care. And the truth is, we need as many of us to have our heads above water as possible.
I think that's the perfect place to end.
Thanks, Mom.
Thank you, Carly, and thank you, Dr. Rubin. Really appreciate your insights and you taking the time to talk with us.
We really hope that this discussion helps give some language or context to your own depression or ideas for how to support someone else in your life living with it. We invite you to check out the hundreds of episodes in our archive and to explore both the Resource Hub and treatment options on recovery.com. Depression is too dark a road to walk alone.
We'll be back next week.